I'd like to call the Onslow County Board of Commissioners meeting to order for November the 19th. Our first order of business is the invocation by Mr. Cotton, our county manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come before you and conduct the business of Onslow County. Please bless all those who have gathered here this evening. Lord, be with the commissioners tonight in their deliberation and grant them wisdom and guidance as they address the items on tonight's agenda. As we approach the Thanksgiving holiday, we thank you for the gift of life and all those you have brought into our lives to lead us, guide us, and to protect us. For those traveling to be with family and friends, we ask that you grant them a safe journey. Father, we pray for the men and women in our armed forces who serve our country with tremendous courage, commitment, and sacrifice. May all we do this day bring you honor and glory. We will continue to thank you and praise you for the blessings you have bestowed upon us. Now, with deep respect and reverence for the faiths, beliefs, and traditions of those gathered here tonight, hear us in a moment of silence. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Our pledge of allegiance by Sharon Russell, our Deputy County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank our sheriff for being here tonight, Sheriff Hans Miller. The board offers the public two opportunities to speak during the meeting. Comments during the first public comment period should be limited to 3 minutes each and must be directly issue-oriented with the agenda items for this particular meeting. The second public comment period is at the end of the meeting and may be on any issue upon which the Board of Commissioners has control. During the second public comment period, citizens can address the board for up to 5 minutes each. Citizen speakers will be acknowledged in the order in which they signed up to speak and will address all comments to the board as a whole and not to one individual commissioner. Speakers will address the board from the speaker's podium at the front of the room and will begin their remarks by stating their name and address. Discussion between speakers and members of the audience will not be allowed. Public comment is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions. Speakers are expected to be civil in their language and presentation. Any comments where the primary purpose is to promote a business or a candidacy shall not be allowed. In accordance with the board adopted rules and procedures, commissioners shall reserve responses, if any, for the commissioner comment period on the agenda. With no other items being considered, motion to adopt the meeting agendas in order.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any item on the agenda that any of the commissioners wants to have removed and placed at the end of the meeting for additional discussion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are at item number 3, which is public comment. Mr. Manager, has anyone signed up?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we'll move on to item 4, which is a proclamation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I'll read the proclamation into the record. State of North Carolina, County of Onslow, Proclamation, National Adoption Month 2018. Whereas during National Adoption Awareness Month, we recognize the adoptive and foster families who have shared their homes and hearts with children in need, and we encourage more citizens to consider adopting young children of all ages. And whereas Onslow County families are encouraged to share their hearts and homes with children waiting to be adopted, and whereas every child deserves the opportunity to grow up in a loving and stable family, and adoption is one way to build a family. And whereas caring adults who foster or adopt children can make all the difference in the lives of young people, sibling groups, children of different ethnicities, and whereas Onslow County Department of Social Services has worked diligently to place foster children and adoptive homes and currently has 218 children in foster care. And whereas we honor adoptive and foster parents as they raise children of conviction and character. By accepting the gift of these children, parents are helping shape lives and contributing to the strength of our great nation. And whereas the Onslow County Department of Social Services would like to celebrate foster and adoptive families and to spread awareness on behalf of the children in foster care who await a loving home. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Onslow County Board of Commissioners recognizes November 2018 as National Adoption Month and calls upon all citizens to observe this month with appropriate programs and activities to honor adoptive families and to participate in efforts to find permanent homes for waiting children. Members of Department of Social Services, Director Heidi Bauer and Ms. Sherry Slater will receive the proclamation. The chairman has requested that Commissioner Mark Price present on behalf of the board.
To be successful in anything, I think you got to have a heart for what you're doing, even more so as we acknowledge these adoptive and foster parents as well. I feel like they have to have a tugging at their hearts, to do this type of thing, to take children into their home, to raise them up as their own, and to provide them with every bit of care that that they would, even if they had their own children as well. And so we just want to honor those and those in social services who help those parents achieve to meet that tugging on their heart and to feel that purpose as they're needed even more right now. And so we want to thank them for that.
I know the proclamation says we have 218 children in foster care at this point. If you remember that number, we only have about 25 to 30 foster homes in Onslow County. There is a desperate need for foster homes in our county. So anyone who knows of anyone who's interested in fostering children, please let us know. We'd be happy to work with them to help them get that license. And in Onslow County, we do a program called Foster to Adopt. So families that want to adopt children frequently start as foster families. And those families fall in love with those children and keep those children to make that forever family. So please help us out if you can. Thank you.
Next item is item number 5. Mr. Cotton, will you, or Mr. Warren, will you present that to us?
All right, good evening, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, and Commissioners. For your consideration this evening, we have a request for a no-wake zone to be established in Queens Creek in the vicinity of Hammocks Beach State Park. Some months ago, the county was approached by representatives from Hammocks Beach State Park to initiate the process of reaching out to the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission to establish a no-wake zone in the vicinity of Hammocks Beach State Park. As part of the process, one of the initial steps is for a local government agency to basically serve as the champion or to initiate the request, at least to get it to the point of having Wildlife Resources Commission conduct an investigation to see if there's warrant to establishing a no-wake zone. This particular request, as you can see in the map that we have in front of you, this is a zoomed out view, but you have a channel coming out of the Intercoastal Waterway into Queens Creek. And to zoom in just a little bit more, this is the proposed area. And this area that you see in between the two hash marks is Hammocks Beach State Park. So on the right side, we have the public boat ramp and maintenance area. And then farther on the left side, we have the ferry dock and the floating kayak and canoe launch. And so the issue that was raised was that because we have so many visitors to Hammocks Beach State Park, especially at the boat ramps and the ferry launch, for boats leaving the Intercoastal Waterway entering Queens Creek, they usually do so at a very high rate of speed, causing a wake and affecting the passengers or those looking to enter the waters at those locations. So the county received the request. They forwarded that request to Wildlife Resources Commission. They've conducted their investigation, and they have found this request favorable. And so the next step in the process will be to hold a public hearing this evening. And if you also find that favorable, consider adopting the resolution that you have before you this evening. If that occurs, the next step would then be to refer that back to Wildlife Resources Commission. They would actually put that out for another 6 months for public review and comment. And at the end of that review period, if it's still found favorable, they would move forward with the installation of the buoys and the markers. This would be at no cost to the county. Hammocks Beach State Park and Wildlife Resources Commission would bear the cost of the environmental study and the purchase and installation of the buoys and the signage. So with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Cotton for the public hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Warren. I will now open the public hearing. No one has signed up, but we'll make a call to the audience. Seeing no one approaching the podium, I will now close the public hearing. The item is available for commissioner discussion.
Motion to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Warren, I don't see that there are any private docks that are affected by the no-wake zone. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct. Pretty much the boundaries of the no-wake zone are completely adjacent to Hammocks Beach State Park.
And the intercoastal waterway is on the other side of the island, so it doesn't really affect the intercoastal waterway. Is that
That is correct.
correct? Okay. All right. That's all my.
All right, sir.
Any further? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Warren.
Thank you.
Item 6, Mr. Laura Jones.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. On September 5th, the board accepted an offer for a parcel of land. It's 077149. The offer was in the amount of $4,500, and it's a wooded lot on Spring Hill Road. It's about 3.47 acres in size. And as required by statute, a public notice was advertised in the Daily News. We did receive 2 upset offers, but we've gone the 10-day period without receiving any upset bids. Therefore, the final offer is being brought back to you for final consideration. It's respectfully requested that the board consider the final offer in the amount of $5,100 for parcel 077149. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Motion to approve. Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. 23 acres, purchase of land on Onslow Pines Road. Our Deputy County Manager, Ms. Sharon Russell.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioners. Our Onslow County Parks and Recreation facilities and programming are important in our efforts to develop tourism through events, concerts, and festivals to better serve our community, promote tourism, and in accordance with the master plan for Onslow Pines Park, staff has identified a 23-acre tract adjacent to Onslow Pines Park that is owned by the Doris R. Bynum Revocable Trust. The county has negotiated with trustee Catherine Bynum and can acquire the property for tax value, which is $142,950. Onslow County has adopted a policy that anyone we do business with must be current on all taxes owed to the county. As a result, real estate and personal property taxes due to Onslow County will be withheld at closing in the purchase of this land, which will result in a net purchase price of the 23 acres of approximately $23,681.19 net payment from Onslow County. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider the purchase of the 23-acre property adjacent to Onslow Pines Park, currently owned by the Doris Bynum Revocable Trust, and if approved, to authorize the county manager to execute the closing documents.
Motion to approve.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sole source purchase, grant funds, I think that's Deputy Sheriff Thomas Marshburn.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you. The Sheriff's Office was awarded a grant by the North Carolina Governor's Highway Safety Program. This grant was approved by the Board of Commissioners in September of 2018. Purchases made with the grant funds must comply with the federal uniform guidance requirements. As such, the Sheriff's Office will be purchasing 4 Motorola APX 6000 portable radios out of a cost of $17,790 and 4 APX 4000 mobile radios at a cost of $12,192 with a portion of these grant funds. Under the Uniform Guidance CFR Part 200 and the Onslow County Purchasing's policies and procedures, sole source purchases require governing board approval. Motorola is the only source for these specific radios. So it's respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider approval of the source purchases to Motorola Solutions in the amount of $29,982.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. This is all money that's coming from the grant?
Yes,
Part of
sir.
that grant money?
Yes, sir. All the money that was approved, and we just because Motorola is the only place we can buy our issued radios, we have to do this process.
Been there, done that.
It's been
All in
quite the
favor of the
learning
motion
experience.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
Elected directors of Onslow County Public Facilities, Mr. McCole. That's not Mr. McCole.
That's Jessica.
That's Jessica.
Good evening, Chairman, Vice Chairman, Commissioners. The Onslow County Public Facilities Company is a nonprofit corporation existing under the laws of the state of North Carolina. In accordance with the bylaws for the corporation, each director of the corporation should be an employee of the county and be appointed by a majority of the Board of Commissioners. Jeffrey Hudson and Ella McMillan are no longer employees of the county and thus ineligible to serve in those roles, creating 2 vacancies. David Cotton, County Manager, David McCole, Finance Director, and Jessica Roberts, Deputy Finance Director, are currently employees and eligible to serve in these roles. It is respectfully requested that the Board appoint David Cotton and Jessica Roberts as directors and reappoint David McCole as director on the Corporation Board and authorize the chairman to sign on behalf of the county. And if there are any questions, I'll be more than happy to assist.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 I believe the next one is yours also.
Yes, sir, it is. Good evening again. In order to recover eligible costs incurred prior to the issuance of debt for a capital project, a reimbursement resolution has been prepared and has been presented this evening. Eligible costs are soft costs, which include architecture, engineering, and legal costs. After issuance of the debt for the project, the county will reimburse itself of any funds spent. The resolution prepared for this evening is for animal service for the animal shelter expansion. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners approve the reimbursement resolution and authorize the clerk to the Board of Commissioners to sign on behalf of the county.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. We're already at Section G, Contract for Professional Services.
We have F next, sir. I'm there too, so.
F.
Yeah.
This is for the project ordinance for the animal
Okay,
services
okay.
expansion. The project ordinance is to increase the overall capacity of the county's current animal shelter located at 244 Georgetown Road. In addition, the renovations will assist in maintaining compliance with the North Carolina Department of Agricultural and Animal Welfare requirements. A new mechanical system will be installed, existing dog runs will be replaced, 2 offices will be added, and 4,000 square feet will be added to accommodate additional dogs. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners approve the animal shelter project ordinance and authorize the chairman to sign on behalf of the county.
Motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I had flipped the page too early is what happened, so I'm sorry. Apologize. Now we got Mr. Martin coming up. Professional Services Contract.
Good evening, Chairman, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. During the fiscal year 2018-2019 budget, the Board of Commissioners approved funding to expand the current animal services facility, as well as renovate an existing portion of the building. As required by North Carolina General Statute 143-64 for professional services contracts, a request for qualification was issued by the Purchasing Department to select an architectural design firm for the project. Smith Senate Architecture out of Raleigh, North Carolina, submitted a response to the RFQ. Smith Senate Architecture has worked with the county on several projects and has a vast knowledge of the city's zoning and permitting requirements, as well as the county's requirements. Attached, you will find the contract for Smith Senate Architecture in the amount of $324,000 for the professional services related to the expansion and renovation project. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider approving the contract in the amount of $324,000, Smith Senate Architecture for the required professional services, and authorize the chairman of the board to execute the contract documents. Glad to answer any questions you have.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Any questions for Mr. Martin? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services contract.
Good evening, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioners. The Department of Social Services receives grant funding through the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services Division of Public Health to administer an adolescent parenting program. The agency updates the contract authorization forms annually through the Board of County Commissioners, serving as the Consolidated Human Services Board. Respectfully request that the board authorize the chairman to sign the associated documents on behalf of the Consolidated Human Services Board.
Motion?
Motion approved.
Motion to approve. Any second?
Second.
A second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mosquito abatement funding. Miss Angela Lee, are you going to tell us about the swamp vampires, huh?
I am. Well, I'm going to hopefully help get rid of those. Good evening, Chairman, Vice Chairman, Commissioners, and Mr. Cotton. The North Carolina General Assembly has provided additional funds for post-Hurricane Florence mosquitoes. This is our second round of funding that they provided to Onslow County. We originally were provided $265,000, $265,002. And we have now received additional funding, which they have provided to us per acreage for 32 counties that were federal disaster counties. We have now received $43,720.69, and this funding is able to be used for whatever we would like to use it for, and they will not be seeking FEMA reimbursement. So it's a little more flexible. And I did want to mention that Mr. Tony Padgett and Environmental Services have done a fantastic job in providing mosquito, addressing our concerns in our community. I've received a lot of questions from our citizens and been able to really direct them to his department, and they have just been fantastic in their response, and he has done an excellent job in utilizing these funds as well. So it is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners accept the mosquito abatement funding in the amount of $43,720.69.
Motion to
Motion.
approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? I will say, I concur with what you said about Tony Padgett and the folks out there doing the spraying. I have people call me all the time, or somebody send an email and saying what a good job and a quick response that our team is doing. This insect population is basically uncontrollable, but at least we're able now to. I haven't received any complaints recently about any overpopulation of mosquitoes. So I commend you, Tony, and for your operation over there to address this situation. We just can't say enough about that. Thank you.
And that, the other thing is the research that you do, Tony, trying to find new equipment to combat these mosquitoes is pretty interesting. And when you shared with me the information about how it goes in and takes care of the larva, which is interesting, and here he comes. You might.
I would just like to say, this is a prime example of teamwork from the top down, because Angela Lee and her staff has been able to help us procure this dollars, and we've used them wisely in doing larviciding, adulticiding, and making sure we hit areas we couldn't hit before without it. So my staff, I have to give credit to them. They work hard. I have a great team, and this county has a great team. And thank y'all for leading it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Ms. Lee and Tony? Would motion to approve, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We're now at the item 7, consent agenda. We didn't pull anything off of that. So now 8 is public comment section again. Anyone signed up, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, manager's comment.
Just like to say happy Thanksgiving, and I hope everyone has safe travels. Thank you, Mr.
All
Chairman,
right.
Commissioners.
All right, now we are at commissioner comments. I'm not going to spring this one on the vice chair like I did last time, so I'll start with.
I'm ready for you.
Figured you were. You've been taking notes like crazy. Mark Price.
Zing that around.
Thank you all for being in attendance this evening, and went to a couple of different things, had opportunity to attend a couple of different things. Attended a substance abuse meeting at Jacksonville Public Safety to map out the treatment that we have available as next steps after, whenever our crisis center comes online. And so I thought that was important to begin to talk about that. And Jacksonville had this group named Task Center for Health and Justice that's going to be taking that on. And so they were bringing in everybody that's involved in Onslow County and in that area. And so they were discussing a chance to talk about those things. And so they're going to be addressing the next steps. And that's going to be really important because our crisis center will be coming online soon. I thank Ms. Sherry Slater for giving me a tour of that. It appeared as if we were in the final stages of the project. And so it looked like we were just going to begin the checkoff list. It looked like the next thing because we were getting it done there. So that's a positive thing as well. Congratulations to the Minority Entrepreneur of the Year, Barbara Holder. To the Minority Business Advocate of the Year was Carabelle. And Legends of Onslow, Fernando Schiefelbein.
Schiffelbaum.
I know I messed that up. I apologize, but Schiefelbein, okay. That's a little better. I got it. Also, we were pleased to have the dedication of the Air Traffic Control Tower attend that. So that's going to be a great asset for Onslow County. And it's going to be another tool in the quiver there for economic development, for bringing in business, for growing Onslow County economically. So that's an awesome thing. Also, congratulations to all those high school teams that made the state playoffs. And I know 2 have advanced. Jacksonville will be at Western Alamance in Burlington, North Carolina. And Southwest High School will be at South Columbus in Tabor City, right before you go into South Carolina. So it's a haul, but I'm sure there'll be Jacksonville facing Western Alamance and knocked them out last year, so they're going to be ready to go. And South Columbus is always a power. They're undefeated. So it'll be 2 great ball games. Either way you want to go. You want to go west to Burlington or down to South Columbus to Tabor City. But that'd be 2 great opportunities to see some good football. But thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Price. Commissioner Buchanan.
And thank everybody for being here. He covered most of the stuff that I was going to cover, but Saturday night I had an opportunity at the Candlelight Vigil in Swansboro and to watch teamwork. This was a gentleman that had basically, I think, had died, and this team of people, it was just amazing to watch them. And we're talking about Camp Lejeune Fire, Swansboro Fire and Rescue, Swansboro Rescue, Swansboro Police Department, They worked on this gentleman for 30 minutes and brought him back. And it was just amazing. I mean, I've been around this stuff all my life as a public safety officer, like some of us that are sitting up here today, but to watch the team work together and switch off to do the compressions and to keep this gentleman, to bring him back. And they brought him back, and then our paramedics came in and took him away. But I don't know how the outcome is, but I know he was alive when he left the scene, and he had died right there in front of a bunch of us that were standing around. The public was so amazed by the public safety people and what they had done. It was just, they're all standing up anyhow, but they were all clapping when that gentleman was put on the gurney and put in that ambulance to go to the hospital at Camp Lejeune. But I want to thank our public safety people. It was amazing to watch the team effort that they put into it to save that man's life. So thank you for being here, and have a safe trip home, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Commissioner Bennett?
Thank you, Chairman. The Salvation Army finished their fiscal year on September the 30th, and I just wanted to mention a few things about the Salvation Army of Onslow and Jones County. Our Salvation Army helped 24,040 people in the last year, people who we would have had to serve in some way through the government had we not had a nonprofit that was out there helping people. To the tune of $673,438.09, the value of their assistance. Salvation Army does its work with zero public funds. They don't get money from the government. There were, out of those 24,000 people, 1,752 were military or dependents, 369 were homeless, and they were able to refer 93 to jobs in the local area to try to get them back on their feet. And during the year, they were helped by volunteers to the tune of 6,143 hours. So Salvation Army is out there helping a lot of people, and they're saving the county money. I also want to mention the New River YMCA, which we have supported here with this board. The New River YMCA is well on its way to its goal to raise money and open a facility in Jacksonville. They have a celebration scheduled for December the 6th. It's Thursday at 7:30 to 9 a.m. at Infinite Prague Parish Hall. And the public is invited to find out about the New River YMCA and what programs they are planning in their location. Complimentary breakfast will be served. So I hope we'll see many of you there on December the 6th at the Infinite Prague. And that's all I have. I hope you have a good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Bennett. Vice Chairman Knapp?
Tone a little different with this meeting, but I just wanted to say, 2 years ago, I took a tour of the building that we had that was vacant, and Sherry was with me at the time with the building custodian. I may have used some expletives when I walked into that building because I was utterly disgusted. And I took a tour last week with Sherry, and I'm impressed. I gotta tout you up there, Sherry. I mean, she took a project. Our detox crisis center is well underway. It's going to open at the beginning of the year, and it's like night and day. It really is. It was refreshing to go in there and see all the progress that was done, all the modernization to make sure everything is up to code. And believe it or not, Onslow County is going to have their detox crisis center here very soon. And I just can't say thank you enough to you and your staff for taking it on. I know that you've been busy with the task force and keeping us all informed and getting everything together and making sure the number crunches, but you've done a phenomenal job, Sherry. And I'm very proud of it. I can't wait for the ribbon cutting, because a lot of people thought this was dead in the water, that we would never get this project up and running, but here it is 2.5 years later. I think we showed some people, and I'm very proud of it, and I'm proud of what you've done and your efforts. So if you get a chance to go out there and take a look at it, from my understanding, we have the furniture's coming in December, correct? We already have a provider, Recovery Innovation, that's going to be providing the services for us for this detox. And again, it's a Band-Aid, it's not a fix, but it's a huge, huge step in the right direction for us to move forward. And once we get this up and running, We're working with the sheriff's office, JPD, and the rest of them for training, continuous training. And it's a team effort. It totally is. It's a team effort from the county, from all the law enforcement agencies to work together to get this thing up and running and to make it a reality. So my hat's off to you. During the last meeting, there were several events that took place. One was mentioned with the Air Traffic Control Center. That's a big deal. I mean, we dedicated the new tower. We have a tower that's here in Jacksonville that basically puts us on the map, and it opens us up to more commerce, more flight plans into Jacksonville. And I think it's a win-win for our county. And I was very, very proud to see this tower. It's modern. If you remember Jacksonville Airport from 15 to 20 years ago, it's night and day. It was almost embarrassing to go to the airport 10 to 15 years ago, but now it's state-of-the-art, and I'm very proud of that. So, I mean, good on the airport authority and all the individuals involved in that. It's a great project. The other thing I attended that's kind of dear to my heart was I was able to attend the Disabled American Veterans ceremony during this past Veterans Day, and I think, Sheriff, you were there as well with some other folks. Let me tell you, you get a chance, thank a vet, especially during Thanksgiving. You know somebody who's a veteran, thank them. They're the ones that made this all possible for all of us, and we've got a lot of veterans that are sitting here in this room today. And, Sergeant Major Klein was the speaker at this particular function. I've known Sergeant Major Klein for over 25 years, and an outstanding Marine, retired Marine. He gives back to his community. I mean, he gave a moving speech. I didn't know he was a preacher, but that's probably why he gave such a great speech. But he did a wonderful job. And to see all the people working together as veterans, and they continue to work to provide to the community, that's something special. So next time you're around and you see somebody you know he's a vet, thank him or her, because they really, truly deserve our praise. And the last thing is, Thanksgiving is this Thursday. It's my earnest wish that everybody will take a moment to be thankful for what they have and what we've been through. Onslow County's been through a lot during this past season, and to be here, standing here, to be able to stand 6 feet above the ground is truly a miracle for some of us. So whoever you pray to, thank your God, and I just hope you all have a great Thanksgiving and come back to us safely.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I'm going to be as brief as I can. First of all, I'd like to say my prayers and thoughts go out with the people in California that's lost everything with the fire. There's over 1,000 and some people still missing. Death tolls up over 70 now. And not only the loss of life and the people missing, I just can't imagine the economic impact for those communities as a whole city has been lost with their tax base. So it's going to be a long time before they recover. So if you can think of them, the people that lost their life there, surely say a prayer for them if you could. Debris pickup is still ongoing. We got a cutoff date, but it just makes me absolutely sick to see these people that's illegally dumping stuff up and down the road. It's just heartbreaking. And they just randomly just pulling up to the shoulder of the road, unloading tractor trailer loads of shingles off of somebody's house that's already been paid for by insurance or the property owner, and the contractors are just taking advantage of it and expecting us to go pick it up, and we don't know if it's storm related or not. And Lord knows mattress sales ought to be out of this site. I believe everybody lost their mattress. These mattresses, if you were to line them up from Pender County to Jones County, they'd be bumper to bumper all up and down the road on interstate, both sides. And I don't know why that happened, but it did. Now, there's some legitimate reasons for them being out there, but I think there's a lot of illegitimate reasons also. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving, and be safe in your travels to and from your destinations if you're moving back and forth. We had a training session that I attended part of. I couldn't stay for all, but it was to train the public safety folks to, when they respond to mental health issues or opioid overdoses or situations involving that, how to respond and maybe keep some of these people out of our jail, keep them out of our hospital, and ultimately keep them out of our detox center if we can, because I got a feeling when this crisis center opens, it's going to be really full. So we need to do everything we can, and the training was provided, and I weren't able to stay for all of it, but what part I did stay for was really informative, and I think everybody that was there, the whole room was surrounded by law enforcement agencies on 4 or 5 different counties, so the training is going to be widespread, and I think it's going to be a big help to the people. We can't put everything in their emergency room at the hospital, and the jail won't hold everybody that needs treatment. But I think treatment is the way to go, because if you can treat the situation, you won't have to worry about people in the jail and tying up our emergency room. I know it sounds like we're becoming law enforcement and first responders are becoming social workers, but it seems like that's the trend. We're gonna have to figure out a way to deal with it without putting all the burden on the hospitals and our detention centers. But other than that, thank you all for coming tonight, the ones that's here. Have a good, safe trip home, and have a good Thanksgiving holiday. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? We are adjourned.